All right, we'll call the meeting to order.
This is a regular meeting of the Land Use Board of the Township of Greenwich. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act in that a notice was published in the Express Times and Star Ledger newspapers. Notice was posted on the municipal bulletin board in the Township Administration Building in Greenwich Township, New Jersey, and the notice was filed with the Township Clerk.
All right, roll call.
Mark Scuderi,
Here.
Mr. Beam,
Here.
Mr. Chichillo.
Here.
Mr. Baylor.
Here.
Ms. Cullen. Here. Mr. Hill.
Here.
Mr. Fiamma,
Here.
Mr. Blunt,
Here.
Ms. Sherlaw. Here. Mr. Bradlaugh,
Here.
Ms. Parker.
Absolutely.
Okay, I didn't get a word from her. Mr. Graham.
All right, flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There wasn't any if you found it. We can address that at the end.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so there's no resolutions to adopt. Next, order of business, public. Oh, yep, public hearing, Land Use Board 2024-04. Applicant is the Tinsley Greenwich Township NJ LLC.
Okay, the hearing on the Tinsley is going to be continued to March for three reasons. Number one, there was a notice issue with one of the abutting property owners not having the notice addressed to him. It was addressed to the address, and quite frankly, that was on the township to give out the wrong name for the address. And this particular property owner with emails has agreed that he will accept notice if the hearing is carried to March. That's the first reason. Second reason is the plans that everyone has been given tonight are the original set that was submitted by the applicant in May. The application was deemed to be complete, I believe, by Bryce Good sometime in January.
Yeah, it was deemed complete in January. I don't have the exact date on top of my head. It was
Well,
the
the bottom
second
line-
week of January.
Right, and to have it, in order to get it to the point where it was deemed complete, there were plan revisions that had to be made. The plan revisions were made, they were sent to Bryce's office, but no paper copies were sent in to the township, so even if the hearing started, and assuming for argument's sake, without saying that this is gonna happen, who knows, this is probably gonna be a multi-hearing process, but the board could not have approved, even if it wanted to, the plans, because the revised plans aren't on file here. And the third reason is, we don't have a planning report from the board's planner yet, but that's because the application was just deemed complete in January, and she doesn't have the revised plans. So for all those reasons, the hearing is gonna be continued, no need for further notice, because all the other notices were good. And again, the one property owner who had a defective notice waives the defect on the basis, on the condition that the board carry this to March. The applicant has agreed to have it carried to March, so just to be very specific about it, the board's meeting in March is March 13, correct?
Correct.
So the hearing on the Tinsley will be 7:30 PM, this room, March 13. No one's gonna get more notice, so anyone who's here on the Tinsley, come on back March 13. That's when the hearing will be opened. That's when the hearing will commence on the application. So have a good night, unless you wanna hang around for these poor people over here who have a pool application.
I would consider getting a bigger room.
Okay, it looks like there's enough room in this room, and it has not
It's 84.
exceeded the fire.
84.
84 people could fit in this room, and there's extra chairs too. You see them on the side of the wall there?
Okay. Just
Okay.
saying.
Anyway, thank you so much. Call second case.
Yep, second case.
People were nervous. There's the whole.
Yeah,
I was gonna say something before, but I thought, it might not be
Yeah.
deemed appropriate.
Well, you Shirley, let me know. Okay, next case. Land Use Board
I don't have any
2025-01, first one of the year. Switch to Michael.
Yep.
Michael and Sarah Torres, come on up. We're gonna swear you in, just like you're in court.
Guys, raise your right hands, and Bryce, raise your right hand. All three of you swear that the testimony you're gonna give in this matter will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so. You guys can sit, you don't have to stand the whole time. And when you speak, if you speak up like this, there's microphones in the ceiling there, they'll pick you up. Let me just get your names for the record,
Michael Torres?
and,
Sarah Torres.
okay, and Bryce. Can you,
Yes, sir.
for the record, your relationship to the board is,
Land use board engineer.
okay. So to summarize, and tell me if I'm summarizing this incorrectly. The reason you are here is because you want to put a swimming pool in your rear yard. And we know that you need a variance from ordinance section 16-12.4, which provides that pools, quote, shall be located in the rear yard only, not less than 15 feet from the side and rear yards, end quote, correct?
Correct.
And your pool is located how many feet from the rear yard?
It'd be 6.5 is where the patio ends from the rear property line.
There's a 6.5 feet from patio to the property line, and how many feet from the pool to the property line?
It is 9.5.
9.5 feet from the pool to the property line. Now, Bryce did a report dated January 24, 2025. On page 2, he says there's another possible variance. By the way, I reviewed their notice. The notice is in order. We reviewed all the certifieds. The certifieds are in order. In my opinion, the board has procedural jurisdiction to commence the hearing on this application, unlike the one before that got carried to market. Ordinance section 16-12.5 says a pool, quote, shall not occupy more than 25% of the 25% of the rear yard, end quote. So Bryce, have you looked at that? Do they need a variance from that or not?
I'm not sure, because I actually never received a copy of the sealed survey. All I've ever received is a not to scale copy of the survey, so I don't know. I know the applicant has put together a conversation of the impervious coverage. I don't know if the 25% backyard is met. I think they may be over that, and we may have to go with a variance on that.
So, what they attached, you're saying that the survey that they attached, they inserted the proposed pool and structure? Is that
Well,
not-
I didn't receive an actual copy of the sealed survey. There is a sealed survey.
Do you have a copy of the sealed
I
survey?
do.
Can you give that to Bryce?
But it appears that the pool and its patio may be more than 25% of the rear yard.
I just want to find out exactly what variance relief is needed before start the testimony and before the board gets into the application.
John, is it just the pool or is it pool and patio? It's 25%. Good question.
The ordinance says pool,
Okay.
it doesn't say
So it's-
patio.
That's what I was thinking, that it's,
But
so we just gotta let him square footage.
Let's hear from him first. Also, the ordinance says pool
This doesn't have a-
shall be at least 15 feet
Okay.
back from the line.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Now here it's clear that the pool is not 15 feet back from the line.
I have it separated, so.
No, that's fine.
Is
The
that
only
a,
sealed survey you gave me was without the pool, is that correct?
Yeah. we
Yes,
don't have
okay.
a sealed survey.
So to answer the question, I guess I need to ask. The pool, just to confirm, the pool is 30 foot long by 15 feet 5 inches wide?
Correct.
Okay. Give me 1 second here, I need to do a little bit of calculations.
Yeah.
Uh, That's 20.
what's the pool dimensions again?
30 feet by 15 and a half. It's just a here, which-
So it appears the rear yard is approximately 4,680 square feet.
And what is 30 by 15.5?
462.5 square feet.
And what percentage of 4680 is 462.5?
10%.
So
So they're okay on that.
the pool complies with 1612.5. Now, what'd you say about impervious surface?
So the impervious surface, once again, I was not able to calculate it, so that's why I asked the question. The applicant has brought forth calculations in their packet that they provided after my report,
Yeah.
and they are well within the requirements for the impervious
Okay.
coverage. So they do not need a variance for the impervious coverage.
So the only variance required is to have the pool within 9.5 feet of the property line. That's the variance. So now you guys explain to the board the situation, why you can't comply with the 15 feet and why they should approve it at the proposed 9.5 feet.
Before we go, Mr. Drill, I'm sorry if we can just, there's one question about the fence that surrounds the property, and that is in the zoning section, so we'll have to wait for the testimony on that, but there may be a variance needed on the fence that is existing.
Okay, so I'd like to clear that up before the testimony if we
Okay.
could. So what ordinance section are you in for the fence?
16-12.3. Every private swimming pool shall be
Slow.
Every private swimming pool shall be enclosed with a good quality chain link wire, wood enclosed fence, exclusive of snow fence or other equivalent fence, with open spaces no more than 3 inches, of
Okay.
not less than 4 feet, and no more than 6 feet in height.
Okay, do you know if your fence complies with that?
We go through that one more time. Just gonna keep going.
I can, just looking at the photographs, looks like there's a wood rail fence on one side of your property, that will not meet.
Okay, yeah, along there's a sewer spill on the.
So
one
if
side.
it's like a metal fence, white metal fence you have surrounding your property,
That's correct.
how tall is that fence?
About, I don't know, 4 to 5 feet if I had to.
Okay, and it looks like it's a small rail vertical, is it more than 3 inches between the rails?
No. Wait, sorry.
So you have a
You mean- Oh, so the space between rails?
Yeah.
Nah, I wouldn't say it was more than 3.
Okay, so the side of the property that has the wooden post rail fence is not going to meet the 3 inch requirement.
When you say post rail, you mean with a wide,
There's a very limited section that.
yeah, I understand, but what's the space between the rails? In other words, what the ordinance is trying to do is protect someone from coming into your backyard, coming into the pool and drowning. That's why they don't want them any less than 3 inches apart, so a kid can't, squeeze in. So what is the separation between the rails on that wooden fence?
Yeah, it's larger on the wooden fence has also like a netted fence that goes, that's part of it, so the netting doesn't allow anything through it, but the wooden rails themselves are spaced more than 3 inches.
So yeah, like chicken wire.
Yeah, basically.
Is that in the interior of your yard or the exterior?
So it's.
The wire,
Yeah, the wire sits right behind the wood. If I'm in my backyard, it's right behind the wood.
the opposite side of.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm so used to, in my mind, the reason I'm slow anytime I ask you something, because the first thing that's coming out is Mike, and I have to swallow it, and change it to Bryce.
Well, there's one suggestion here, because I had the same exact scenario in my house. And number one, when you apply for your permits, the state inspector is gonna make sure that that's compliant. So regardless of what our zoning is, they will not get a permit without that being done correctly. And to code will allow the proper chicken wire, which I call it, on the opposite side of the fence secured to the split rail, will pass the state compliance. So unless ours is different than
Well,
the
ours
state's.
says, ours would allow a wooden fence
Mhm,
or another equivalent fence with open spaces no more than 3 inches,
mhm.
and no less than 4 feet, no more than 6 feet high. So the question to Bryce is, since this fence is a wooden fence with metal chicken wire mesh, in your opinion, does that satisfy the ordinance?
That would satisfy the
Yeah,
ordinance.
so we're gonna say that their fence also complies, so they don't need a variance from that. Whatever happens between them and the code official
Correct.
is between them and the code official. So again, the only variance that this applicant needs, in my opinion, unless Bryce tells me differently, is from ordinance section 16-12.4, because the pool is closer than 15 feet to the rear yard. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, with the clarifications of what type of fence is on the property, yes, they meet the fence requirement.
Okay.
So that's the only variance that's required.
Okay, so now, can you explain to the board why the pool has to be located where it's located and why they should grant you the variance to have it 9.5 feet from the rear yard rather than 15?
Sure. Yeah, we just have limited depth in our backyard. It's a limited lot.
Can you just talk a little louder?
Sure, yeah, we have a limited size lot in the backyard. It's the depth of it isn't really sufficient for us to be able to place the pool. Would be up against our house, which would also impact our patio space that does exist currently.
Slow down, a little louder, because I read from your papers that it wasn't simply that it would be too close to the house, so you wouldn't be able to use the patio. I thought you said if it was that close to the house and you had kids in the pool, if you were looking out the window, you wouldn't be able to see the kids.
That's
And
another,
so it's also a safety thing. Didn't you say that in the paper?
that's another component, yes.
Okay, any board members have any questions?
I do. What's the property behind you? It's another house or
It's a drain pool. It's
a
15
basin?
15 acres of basin.
Basin, there you go. Thank you.
I believe it's owned by the township.
I was gonna say, and behind that, I think it's the preserved
Yes.
field, right?
Yeah, and there's a farm behind it.
Yeah, so we'll have to worry about
So
development.
no neighbor.
I see a couple members of the public. Anyone from the public have any questions for the witness or anything about the pool? No. Any no board members have any additional questions? Also, I see a fourth person. No.
Mhm.
Okay, so now, any members of the public want to be heard by the board? I'll swear you in. And you want to talk about the application or the pool? No, 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 and no. Time to deliberate.
Pretty fast.
You're gonna set a record, you realize.
You did say there.
First year.
That's-
So 38.
It's gonna catch it.
38, okay.
Yeah, we'll make up for it. I'm certain of that. All right, let's call. No questions, let's call the roll.
Do you need to?
We need to make a motion?
Like-
We gotta make a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Motion for-
He's gonna read
just,
it.
can someone give me a little deliberation? Or do you want me to, well, put it this way,
Well, I
I
think.
take it that the sense is that this is not a problem and the board wants to grant the variance. Am I right about this?
I'll motion that we grant the variance based upon professionals'
Okay,
opinions.
so it would be, so what the applicant said and what's in their papers, it would seem like it's a C1 variance because you have limited backyard area and also a C2 variance because there's some safety issues. Because technically they could comply, but it will be unsafe.
John, I'll ask one question.
Yeah.
Your neighbors were notified?
They were.
Okay,
In writing, they signed.
Yeah,
Yes, they did.
I know, I just.
so now there was a motion pending to grant the application based on C1 and
Second.
C2 considerations.
Second, Jeremy? Roll call, all right.
So now, the first 7 people can vote.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor,
Yes.
Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma,
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
That's 7.
Motion passes.
Okay, you're done.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Don't start construction until we pass the resolution, which will be next month.
Yes,
Okay, so we'll draft a formal resolution. We'll vote on that next month and then you're good to go.
Okay.
But just don't start digging until that happens.
Sounds good.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
It's a little hard to dig right now.
Yeah, it'd be a little hard to dig anyway.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Last order of business, approval of December 24 and the January 2025 meeting minutes. I'll open up any discussion on either copies of the minutes, December 2024 or January 25. Going once, going twice, need a motion to adopt the minutes. I'll make the motion. I'll second Gary second. This is for December and January. Roll call?
Mr. Scuderi.
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor,
Yes.
Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma,
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Staying.
Ms. Sherlaw,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh.
Yes.
Ms. Parker.
I was absent in December.
you're out there in
We've-
December abstain, but
Mr. Lamb.
Right. then, done, separately. Okay.
How do we handle this part? Do we need a motion do we want to accept her absence or do we need to handle that?
Yeah, how do you want to handle that? Because I didn't get notified.
Ms. Parker?
She didn't notify that she wasn't gonna be here, so.
so listen, you don't have to excuse someone the night she's not here. So if she has to be excused, she'll ask to get excused at the next meeting.
Okay.
Good point, Gary. Thank you.
Anyone want to make the all important motion?
Motion to,
Motion wager.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Okay, so March will not be so easy.
In March, we bring all this stuff.
That's right. And hopefully.
Or at least one person